After winning the league title in 1991, Arsenal Football Club failed to get back to those highs for a long time, as the Gunners slowly became a cup team and were labelled as boring Arsenal, and faced many challenges and scandals as well, until an unknown foreign manager was signed to build a new dynasty at the club.
Arsene who?
They have done the double.
Thierry Henry! What a goal! Would you believe it?
Something fantastic that has never been done.
Something did die that day.
In 1989, and with the leadership of manager George Graham, Arsenal won the Division 1 title on the last match day at Anfield in circumstances that will never be repeated.
Thomas, it's up for grabs now! An unbelievable climax to the league season.
It could be one of the most difficult achievements in the history of English football, and they went on to achieve another league title after 2 seasons in a dominant manner, as they lost only once throughout the season. Under George Graham, the team was very resilient and disciplined, and the Scottish manager was very strict with the players and had the last say in all club decisions. Some say he's almost like a dictator with his style of management. Thanks to this discipline on the field, Arsenal was a great defensive side, and most of the credit goes to the captain Tony Adams, the keeper David Seaman, and the fullbacks Dixon and Winterburn. And with goals from Alan Smith, and after the prolific Ian Wright joined the team for a record fee from Palace, there were big ambitions for the Gunners in the years to come. But after Arsenal qualified to the European Cup competition in 1991, Graham soon realized that the best way to win was to defend, and with increasing numbers in the back. He realized that after suffering defeat at Highbury at the hands of Portuguese side Benfica by 3-1.
Surely means that Benfica are through.
After that loss, the club took a whole new direction, as despite of Ian Wright's goals, Arsenal was exclusively a cup team. The Scottish manager exaggerated in his defensive approach, so much that the club was being labelled boring Arsenal by the media and opposing fans in the stands. The Gunners were also nicknamed Ian Wright FC for the team's over-reliance on the striker's goals to survive, and especially after Alan Smith lost his shooting boots. But as the Gunners were a cup team as mentioned, they managed to pick up a cup double, the FA Cup and the League Cup in 1993. They also managed to get to the European Cup Winners' Cup final in 1994 to face a Parma side who were the clear favourites, as Arsenal faced numerous chances from the Italian side.
Homing in here, the inside of the post.
But they managed to score after a single chance to win their first official European trophy in the club's history. Graham's defensive philosophy suited the knockout competitions in Europe and the local cups, but the Gunners suffered a lot in the Premier League throughout this time, as the team never finished above 4th position in 4 consecutive seasons, and they also fell way down and finished in 10th position when they won the Cup double in 93. Arsenal's league struggles continued in the 94-95 campaign as they lost numerous matches in the beginning of the season, and they lost their star midfielder Paul Merson for 3 months after accepting rehab for his drug addiction. A similar incident happened in the past to the captain Tony Adams, who also went to rehab in the previous years at that time to heal his alcohol addiction. But Arsenal's problems didn't stop there, as the manager George Graham was sacked following a big scandal in February of 95. As the Scottish manager was accused of receiving up to £400,000 in illegal payments, which came from a Norwegian agent with the purpose of signing 2 Norwegian players for Arsenal. So Graham left after 9 years of service, and his assistant Stuart Houston took over until the end of the season. But the caretaker manager failed to steer the ship, as the team ended the season in 12th position, which is their worst showing in the league since 1976. But surprisingly, Arsenal got to the final of the European Cup Winners' Cup again after winning against Italian side Sampdoria in the semi-finals, and faced Spanish side Real Zaragoza in a match that was extended to extra time. Ex-Spurs player Naeem then proceeded to score from an absurd position at an absurd time.
Naeem hitting a long one, and it's gone in! Amazing!
In came another Scottish manager for the next season, Bruce Rioch, and Vice Chairman David Dean, who was responsible of all club transfers, wanted to send a positive message to the fans after signing both the Englishman David Platt and the Dutchman Dennis Bergkamp for a club record fee. The signing of Bergkamp was considered a big surprise at that time, as despite his poor form in the Serie A with Inter Milan, he was still a sought-after star from all the big clubs in Europe. And Arsenal were in a clear transitional period, but Bergkamp wanted to join and push the Gunners back to lifting trophies. However, the Dutchman struggled in the beginning of the season and took a long time to adapt to the English Premier League, but managed to offer so much after that.
This is a truly special talent.
But Arsenal were still far away from competing in the league, as Manchester United were still the dominating force in England. And the Gunners managed to qualify to the UEFA Cup in the very last match against Bolton, thanks to a goal from the start of the season, Dennis Bergkamp.
The goal, 1-1 isn't good enough. Bergkamp, oh, it's a beauty! Highbury is ecstatic.
The club's stability was under threat once again, as the Scottish manager was involved in some heated arguments with the star of the team, Ian Wright, as the English striker handed in a transfer request to move away from Arsenal in the summer. The manager also got in an argument with Vice Chairman David Dean because of not receiving enough support to build a title-challenging team. So in a surprising turn of events, Rioch was sacked 5 days before the season began, and all the media outlets were wondering who was next in line to manage Arsenal. But for David Dean, the answer was clear. On the 2nd of January 1989, Monaco's manager Arsene Wenger was in the middle of the French League winter break, and while passing through London, he went on to watch Arsenal play Tottenham in Highbury. Vice Chairman David Dean heard that Monaco's manager was attending the match, and David met Wenger in the reception hall within Highbury after the match, as Dean invited the Frenchman to dinner at his house the next day. And after accepting this invitation, their strong relationship kicked off instantly. Since that day, Dean was following Arsene's career closely, as he was impressed by the Frenchman. So when there was a vacancy in the managerial position at Arsenal after Graham's sacking, Dean suggested Wenger to the chairman and board. But Arsenal chairman Peter Hillwood had major concerns, despite being impressed by Arsene after the interview. The idea of hiring a non-British manager at that time was very rare, as the first foreign manager to take over an English team was Dr. Joseph Vingloos in 1990. But the Czech manager left after a tumultuous year with Aston Villa, so the idea was not welcomed at all. Because of that, the chairman passed on the chance to hire Wenger in 95, but was more convinced of the idea a year later. Wenger came to England with good experience. He won the league and cup with Monaco in France, then left to Japan to tackle a completely new experience with Nagoya Grampus 8. But when he officially arrived at Arsenal on September of 1996, he was a completely unknown figure to the fans and the English media outlets, as everybody asked the same question: Arsene who? And even the captain Tony Adams weighed in and said, what does this Frenchman know about football? He wears glasses, and does he even speak English? So Wenger's first challenge was to earn all the Arsenal players' respect, and especially how to get the experienced players on his side. So Wenger instantly requested from management to increase the salaries of the players to keep it on par with the league average. He also promised to extend the players' careers, but they had to follow all the new training and diet regimes which Wenger introduced at the club, which proved in the end to be a revolutionary approach at England. as the Frenchman banned alcohol consumption in off days and introduced vitamins and creatine to decrease fatigue and improve the fitness levels of the players. But from the outside looking in, and specifically from the media's perspective, there were big doubts. And Wenger had the best odds to be the first manager sacked by all bookies around the country. But after only a couple of months, the doubts turned into praise. And Wenger kept the great defensive core at Arsenal and added some protection and strength in the middle after he bought Patrick Vieira from Milan, who adjusted quickly to the English Premier League. And these are one of Wenger's traits. He had great experience with the French market, which made it easy for him to sign good talents without any competition from other English clubs. But the team didn't truly compete throughout the season, despite being on top of the league in December. And as usual, United won the league again, and Arsenal finished in third, which was an improved showing despite the conditions in the beginning of the season. But it's hard to gauge this season accurately and fairly, as Wenger came in October. So what would happen if he managed the team for a full season? Arsene Wenger entered his first summer transfer market for Arsenal and brought in numerous players, most notably the Dutchman Marc Overmars from Ajax Amsterdam and the Frenchman Emmanuel Petit from Monaco. And Wenger started introducing rigorous training camps in Austria as he wanted a strong start to the season and switched back to his preferred formation, the 4-4-2. But Arsenal started badly, and despite writing history by being the all-time goal scorer of the team, Ian Wright and Arsenal received boos and whistles after their defeat at Highbury by the hands of Blackburn by 3-1. And despite the great efforts from the French teenager Nicolas Anelka after joining the team in last season's winter transfer market, and despite Arsenal winning against United thanks to the French youngster, the Gunners were far away from competing, sitting in 6th position at the end of December, and were 12 points away from United at the top of the league. Wenger usually doesn't like confrontation. That's why he gave that responsibility to the leaders of the team, as the players had a meeting and the English spine of the team were asking for more defensive coverage from their French duet in the middle. And following that tense meeting, the team never looked back.
According to the referee, and Bergkamp certainly life in hand. Could it be 4 for Arsenal? It can! Oh! What a cracker from Patrick Vieira!
Arsenal embarked on an unbeaten streak of matches, extending till their fateful match in March against United at Old Trafford, as Arsenal were 9 points away from United, but the Gunners had 3 matches in hand. That's why a win here would mean that the destiny of the title will be in their hands. And following several chances, the gunner of the season Marc Overmars managed to seal the match in the second half.
He's done it this time!
And now Arsenal has the upper hand, and the Gunners took advantage and didn't slip up in the run-in, as they won consecutive matches to seal the title for the first time since '91 after beating Everton in Highbury. And Tony Adams' goal, set up by the other centre-back Steve Bold, was a glimpse of Wenger's philosophy and freedom of expression on the field.
Would you believe it? That sums it all up.
And Arsene Wenger became the first foreign manager to win the Premier League. And following that, the team got to the FA Cup final as well and won handsomely against Newcastle to achieve their first double since 1971.
They have done the double. They are Arsenal.
Arsenal didn't stand still as they boosted the team in the summer, especially as club legend Ian Wright left for West Ham, as they brought in the Swede Ljungberg and Kanu from Internazionale in January. And the Gunners sent a strong message to Manchester United in the beginning of the season, as they won by 3-0, once in the Charity Shield match and once again in the Premier League. And everybody was wondering whether this will be a new season of dominance for Arsenal. But the team struggled continuously till December, and their European travels were a failure as they crashed out of the group stages of the Champions League. But Arsenal were back in form, and with an unbeaten streak of matches, they were back to the top of the league as well. And with 2 games left, the Gunners were level on points with their rivals United. And the competition between these 2 rivals was on display in the semi-finals of the FA Cup as well. And in the replay, Arsenal had a chance to get to another FA Cup final as they won a penalty in added time. And Dennis Bergkamp came forward to take what should be the last kick of the match.
Bergkamp and Schmeichel has saved it! Giggs gets past Vieira, past Dixon, who comes back at him. It's a wonderful run from Giggs! Sensational goal from Ryan Giggs!
Arsenal were defeated in extra time and were handed another defeat in the league against Leeds United in the dying minutes.
Hasselbank! And Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank has scored what could be a critical goal in the Premiership season!
And just like that, and only within a couple of weeks, the team went from dreaming of a double to watching their rivals United win a historic treble.
Champions of Europe, champions of England, winners of the FA Cup, everything their hearts desired.
The club had received some shocking news in the summer of 1999, as Anelka, through his agent and brothers, requested to leave the club. Wenger was very upset by this decision, but Arsenal were handsomely compensated after Madrid signed the French striker for an all-time record fee. Shocker, the Croatian striker, left Madrid for Arsenal in part of the deal, but Wenger knew exactly who was the right man to replace Anelka effectively. When he was coaching Monaco, Arsene had a keen interest in the youth team, and at the beginning of the 94 season, he handed a 17-year-old teenager his professional debut, and that teenager was named Thierry Henry. But after his dismissal in September of the same season, he didn't have the chance to grow this French talent. And after numerous seasons, Henry went to Juventus and was not being deployed correctly, and overall it was a bad experience. And following the last match of the season for Juve, Henry left to enjoy his holiday in Paris and managed to bump into Wenger on the plane as he expressed his interest in joining Arsenal. And soon the Frenchman became the most expensive transfer in the club's history at that time. Wenger deployed Henry as a striker, so the young Frenchman had to relearn that position, as the last time he played there was back with the Monaco youth team. That's why he didn't have the best of starts to his Arsenal career, as he failed to score in his first 7 league matches, but managed to score against Southampton in what is now a trademark finish.
Couldn't stay with him and Henry has scored a terrific goal. His first as an Arsenal player.
Arsenal didn't have the best of seasons, despite the brilliance of their attacking options like Henry and Kanu.
Can you believe it?
Part of the issue was the defense, as Adams missed many matches throughout the season because of injury, and the defense as a whole was not getting any younger. The media were criticizing Wenger and his failure of replacing these aging players in defense, whom he inherited from ex-manager George Graham, as all his recent transfers were midfielders and attackers, except the left-back Silvinho. And Arsenal failed in the Champions League again, despite playing all their European home matches at Wembley, as they attracted over 70,000 fans in each match. But they lost in the second group stages for the second season in a row, after Batistuta's famous goal.
Il tiro e gol incredibile! Batigol! Batigol un destro!
So after crashing out of the English Cup competitions and being way far off the pace in the league race, the team focused on the UEFA Cup competition as they got to the final thanks to Henry's crucial goals throughout each round. They then faced Turkish side Galatasaray in the final, led by manager Fatih Terim and Romanian legend Gorghe Hagi. The match was very tense because of the riots outside the stadium between the Turkish and English fans, and it was tense on the field as well after a couple of clashes between the two teams. But luck was not on Arsenal's side that day.
Haydi tabii de o direkten döndü. Aman Allah'ım! Aman Allah'ım! Direkler bir kez daha izin vermedi.
Another disappointing year for Arsenal in the 2000-2001 season, as the duo of Petit and Overmars left for Barcelona. They were replaced by Wiltord for a record fee, the Cameroonian Lauren, and the talented Frenchman Robert Perez, who rejected Madrid's offer and signed for Arsenal because of Wenger. The Frenchman struggled to adapt in his first season in the Premier League, and the team as a whole was going through a transitional period, especially in the defense, after the departure of both Winterburn and Steve Bold. And in the first match of the season, Wenger clashed with the fourth official after Vieira received a red card and was fined and banned for 12 whole matches. And despite getting back in contention for the league in January, the team visited Old Trafford to face United without their defensive duo of Adams and Keown, and were on the end of a historic beating.
There's a goal for Dwight York, scores his second, and a hat-trick. Keane, 4! With number 5, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. United 6, Arsenal 1.
It was a loss that sealed United's advantage over Arsenal for a new season, as Wenger was quoted. It also proved the failure of the French manager in reinforcing the defense with good signings. The Gunners lost again in the Champions League, this time in the quarter-finals against Valencia. And Vieira was very upset by the result and was quoted saying that the club had made a big mistake in letting Overmars and Petit go, as he was skeptical of the club's ambitions. And Arsenal went to the FA Cup final and were defeated by Liverpool despite dominating the whole match.
But Arsenal are denied again. Bartley trying to reach it. Oh, in! Again! It's there!
And just like that, and in the span of 3 seasons, Arsenal were accustomed to being runners-up. In the summer of 2001, Arsenal finally reinforced their defense and has done so in difficult circumstances, as after numerous secret meetings between him and Vice Chairman David Dein, Spurs' captain Sol Campbell joined the team in a free transfer. It was a strong message to their rivals and especially to United. The Gunners will not settle for second place. It was also a message to the players of the team as well, as it reflected the team's ambitions positively. But overall, there were no other transfers in the same pedigree. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst came in and got injured in the first months, but last season's transfers, in particular Wiltord and Perez, were like new signings after improving immensely this season, and also after the young Ashley Cole became essential in the starting lineup. And after an average start to the season, Arsenal managed to get into gear after a big win against United in Highbury, thanks to a couple of huge errors from the French keeper Barthez.
Oh, what a howler from the Frenchman. Barthez will cover, or at least he should have done. And Thierry Henry has punished Barthez again.
Henry has truly transformed into a superstar this season, and Perez, Bergkamp and Ljungberg offered the quality touches that were needed.
That's magnificent! That is an outstanding goal from a magnificent player.
And Sol Campbell offered the solidity in the back, which was a tradition at Arsenal. It was now a complete unit, and more importantly, Arsenal now played as a team, as Henry said in the beginning of the season. But the European struggles continued for Arsenal, as the Gunners crashed out of the second group stages after suffering bad defeats against Deportivo and Juventus. It was a really tough group as a whole. But the team managed to get back to the FA Cup final for a second season in a row, and this time the challenger was Chelsea before Abramovich's era, as Arsenal didn't waste this chance and won by 2-0.
Pala! The better of Terry, Freddie Ljungberg!
The Gunners entered a winning streak that spanned 13 matches, and the star of that streak was undoubtedly the Swede Freddie Ljungberg, who scored several crucial goals within that period and was fittingly named the Premier League Player of the Season. Arsenal were then handed a golden opportunity to clinch the title at Old Trafford, as United were out of the title race at this point, as Liverpool were closer to the Gunners. As is the case throughout the season, the team has not wasted this opportunity to write history.
Freddie Ljungberg again, push out by Barthez, Wiltord! Arsenal have scored yet again in the Premiership, and this could be the most crucial goal of all.
It was a fitting and beautiful end to the career of Arsenal legend Lee Dixon, and also to the other legend and captain, Tony Adams. After another double for Arsenal and Arsene Wenger, the French manager set his sights on pursuing the impossible. After concluding the 2001-2002 season without any defeat outside Highbury, and after an excellent and unbeaten start to the new season, Arsene Wenger was asked about the possibility of going through a whole season unbeaten. Wenger's answer was surprising, as he said with full confidence, "Yes, we have the ability to do that." All great managers and teams share the same ambition, but are scared to say so. Milan achieved it in the past, so why is the idea shocking for everybody? Wenger's answer didn't come from nowhere, as all the numbers support the Frenchman's ambition in achieving the impossible. When Wenger spoke about his ambition in September of 2002, his team was already breaking records left and right. The Gunners scored in 47 Premier League matches in a row. They were also unbeaten in 22 Premier League away matches. And before entering the match against Everton in the end of October, Arsenal were 30 matches unbeaten in the league. That's why the impossible was well within their reach. And all of this was achieved without spending big in the summer, although Gilberto Silva's signing was crucial to safeguard the defense from midfield. But all of the Gunners' dreams were shattered after an English teenager named Wayne Rooney scored in the last minute.
Fancies his chances. Oh, brilliant goal! A brilliant goal! Remember the name, Wayne Rooney.
Following this loss at the end of October, Arsenal's form became inconsistent despite Henry's historic season in the league, as he scored 24 goals and assisted an additional 20 to his teammates. And the team went from the possibility of achieving the impossible to the risk of losing out on all trophies, as United didn't stand still and brought in Rio Ferdinand from Leeds for a record fee for a defender, and they were tough opponents throughout the season. Struggling in Europe was becoming a habit each year, as the team crashed out again from the second group stages in the Champions League at the hands of Valencia and their striker Carew. Then came a crucial match in the league against Manchester United in April at Highbury, as it could be the Gunners' last chance to come back in the title race.
Van Nistelrooy, that's brilliant! Ruud Van Nistelrooy gives Manchester United the lead!
Oh, it's in! It's 1-1, that's what matters for Arsenal. All right, he's in! And Arsenal lead Manchester United by 2 goals to 1. Ryan Giggs. What a game this is turning out to be.
The draw was not enough for the Gunners, and a loss against Leeds in Highbury handed the title to United again.
He has finished it. Manchester United will be champions once again.
Arsenal settled for the FA Cup as they won against Southampton in a dull and eventless match. The celebrations were modest, and this is clear evidence of the club's failure to fulfill Arsene Wenger's ambition at the start of the season. And Arsene mentioned in his autobiography recently that the players told him that he was putting far too much pressure on them, and the goal of winning the league without losing a match seemed unachievable. Arsene Wenger reiterated the challenge to his players: win the Premier League without defeat, and you'll be the modern-day Invincibles. Wenger focused on the defensive transfers and brought in the keeper Jens Lehmann from Dortmund after Siemens' departure to Man City. So finally, and after all the criticism, the Frenchman now has built his own defense. Lehmann, Cole, Campbell, Lauren, and the Ivorian Kolo Touré, who came last season as an unknown entity from Africa but managed to convince the manager after participating in a successful trial and became a solid figure for the team. And after the Russian businessman Roman Abramovich bought Chelsea, the season predictions suddenly were changed, as now Chelsea was one of the title favorites with United and Arsenal after spending big in the summer. The challenges of the season came instantly from the first match against Everton after Sol Campbell was sent off in the opening minutes, but the Gunners managed to overcome these hardships and secure the 3 points. And this is a situation that will be repeated throughout the year as the team finds itself in trouble in several matches in the season. An example of that came in a match at Old Trafford in September, and after a tough and physical match, Vieira was sent off in the dying minutes after receiving a second caution from the ref. The Arsenal squad felt that Van Nistelrooy exaggerated in his reaction to get Vieira sent off from the field. Then the ref handed United a penalty in the last minute, and thus came United's chance in ending the dreams of Arsenal and Arsene Wenger.
Van Nistelrooy. Oh, he's missed it! He has hit the bar!
After the final whistle, Keown and Lauren had something to say to the Dutch striker.
Yeah, they're all around Ruud van Nistelrooy.
The English Football Association had accused 6 Arsenal players for violent and unsportsmanlike behaviour, while the club was fined £175,000, which is the biggest fine given in the history of the English Football Association. Arsenal managed to escape by the skin of their teeth, and following a comeback win against Liverpool at Anfield, the reporter Oliver Kay from The Times said that Arsenal was growing from recent events, and now they place substance ahead of style. Important wins against Leeds, Chelsea and Spurs pushed the club to finish the first half of the season unbeaten, but were still 1 point away from the leaders United. Wenger added a new attacking piece to the team after Reyes came from Sevilla in January, and the Gunners managed to win 9 games in a row and led the league by a big and comfortable margin. But in the beginning of April, the team was under great pressure, as within a week, Arsenal were knocked out of 2 competitions, firstly against United in the FA Cup semi-finals, and secondly after being eliminated by Chelsea in the quarter-finals of the Champions League, as dreams of a treble were shattered. 3 days following that defeat, Liverpool visited Highbury for a league match, and they had an eye on stopping Arsenal from achieving the impossible.
And turned in by Hopia. And that's a good ball for Michael Owen. And Liverpool are back in front just before half-time.
Arsenal didn't play well at all, but Henry refused the possibility of the streak ending that day.
It's by Juven Harman. Played it in for Jumbo. Played it on for Heroes. 2-2. Running at Harman and away from him. And running at Carragher and away from him. Still, Thierry Henry. Fantastic goal. Lifted over the top of Thierry Henry. On a hat-trick. Looking for it. Has his hat-trick.
Now came the time to clinch the title, and the chance to do that on your rival stadium, as a draw against Tottenham was enough for Arsenal. And following a tense match that ended in a draw, and for the second time in history, Arsenal clinched the league title at White Hart Lane. With 4 matches left, Arsene Wenger reiterated the goal of ending the season unbeaten to his players, and after a couple of draws and a win, the team managed to stage one last comeback against Leicester at Highbury, and that team will now be remembered forever as the Invincibles.
Arsenal's name has a place in the sporting record books for all time, and what they've done this season will be talked about for as long as football is played.
The unbeaten streak was extended for Arsenal through the new season, and the Gunners passed the historic run set by Nottingham Forest, which stopped at 42 matches in 1978. And the Gunners added 7 matches to their tally to get to 49 matches unbeaten before entering a match against United at Old Trafford in October. Everybody knew it was going to be a tough and physical match, but it was settled in a controversial way.
Well, a fraction of a second could be fatal. Oh, that's a penalty. That's a penalty. Wayne Rooney gets the penalty. Here goes Van Nistelrooy. The noise says it all. The celebrations say it all.
The Dutchman scored the penalty this time, and Wayne Rooney sealed the 3 points as he's done 2 years earlier. And just like that, and in controversial circumstances, the Invincibles were human again. But the battle was not over, as after the final whistle, there was a fight in the tunnel between the two sets of players. And Cesc Fabregas recently confessed that he threw a piece of pizza in the middle of the chaos, but didn't intend on it hitting Sir Alex Ferguson. And thus the match was soon labelled as the Battle of the Buffet by some English media outlets. That defeat was the beginning of the end, as several points were dropped and the team lost its focus and drive, as Wenger mentioned in his autobiography. Despite the team being energized by the introduction of both Fabregas and Van Persie. But with the passing of time, the Premier League title race was settled. Chelsea were the new champions, and by 12 whole points from second-placed Arsenal. And the defeat against Bayern in the round of 16 of the Champions League meant that the European dream was still far away. And the two rivals United and Arsenal had one single competition to play for, which was the FA Cup. And following a tense and long match, penalty shootouts were going to decide the winner for the first time in the competition's history, as Vieira stepped up to steal the match.
Vieira for Arsenal, he's done it!
As Arsenal won a new trophy to heal some of the wounds of the season.
Of 2005,
After years of rumors and speculation with regards to his departure, the captain Patrick Vieira left for Juventus in the summer of 2005. It was ironic that he was sold when he really wanted to stay, but management saw that this was the best time to get the most out of the Frenchman's value in the market. But why has the club's direction shifted this way? The historic Highbury Stadium was not enough for Arsenal anymore. Its max capacity could fit around 38,000 fans only, and management knew after playing numerous European matches at Wembley before the turn of the century that the club can attract fans in much bigger numbers. That's why the planning for a new stadium started in the early 2000s, and the funding was confirmed in February of 2004. But the banks demanded guarantees before giving the green light for the project, such as restricting the players' salaries to 50% of the total budget and also asking Wenger to renew his contract for the next 5 years. So the Frenchman and the new stadium were now completely intertwined. Many people think that the financial restrictions were in effect after the stadium was finished, and that's true, but there were some restrictions before that as well, as some news outlets said that Arsenal were so close to financial turmoil in 2004. That's why the philosophy of scouting and playing youngsters began before the stadium was finished. And the stadium was scheduled to officially open its doors in July of 2006. So the 05-06 season will be the last at Highbury. And before entering this new era, Arsenal and Arsene Wenger wanted the final title which slipped from their grasp, the Champions League trophy. And with Vieira's departure, the club didn't reinforce a lot in the summer, as most of their transfers were done with an eye for the future, except Alexander Hleb from Stuttgart. And to celebrate the last season at this historic stadium, the players were handed kits with special colors to honor the shirts which were used in the first season at Highbury Stadium from around 100 years ago. But the team failed to honor the stadium through their results on the field, as they were out of the title race from the very first months, and the competition was getting very tough for the Gunners. So the focus was now on the Champions League, and the team managed to qualify out of the group stages easily. And in a group match against Sparta Prague, Henry entered the match and scored 2 goals to pass Ian Wright as the club's all-time record goalscorer. It was also a feat that was achieved in 7 seasons only. Arsenal then faced Real Madrid in the round of 16, as Henry scored a historic and individual goal.
It's Henry getting cleared. It's Thierry Henry! He scored! He scored for Arsenal in the Bernabeu!
The Gunners managed to get through to the next round without conceding a single goal, and gained great confidence before entering the next round.
It's reunion night at Highbury. Henry, plenty of movement ahead of it. Cesc Fabregas! Yes! And it's the young pretender, Cesc Fabregas, who gives Arsenal the lead. It's a lovely ball. There's a chance here for Fabregas. And now for Thierry Henry!
despite the numerous injuries in the season, Arsenal got to the final of the Champions League for the very first time in their history, and they achieved this feat without conceding a single goal throughout each knockout stage. The reason for that could be linked to Wenger's switch of formation from his favorite 4-4-2 to the more compact 4-5-1, which he used exclusively for the European matches. And after Bergkamp was now in his late 30s, Henry was now a lone striker and was supported by 5 in the midfield. And before entering the final against Barcelona in Paris, Arsenal had to say their goodbyes to Highbury Stadium and also to Bergkamp, who will play his last match for the club. And also based on the rumors and speculation, it could be Henry's last match as well.
2-2. It's a gift, but one gratefully taken. On the last day here, he has a hat-trick.
With that win, Arsenal qualified for next season's Champions League and entered the final against Barcelona to close this chapter of the club's history with a last title to complete their collection.
وهنا تنطلق قمة المباريات. ما أروعك يا بارسا، ما أجملك وما أتقنك وما أبدعك يا أرسنال.
Towards Henry, who's blotted out by Valdez.
سيسدد روعة يا أرسنال.
Rolling for Eto, Lehmann has come, Eto's dropped down.
¿Cómo se puede ser tan malo? ¿Cómo se puede ser tan malo?
The first player ever to be sent off in a Champions League final.
والكرة خطيرة.
Arsenal have stolen a lead in Paris.
Samuel, que bien Samuel.
Eto.
No la puede pegar Deco, Almunia.
Henry. And again Valdez.
خطيرة بالأرسنال. Eto.
A typically smooth Barcelona goal.
Qué balón acaba de meter para allá. Valenti.
2-1 Barca. They've turned it right round in a flash. Barcelona got there in the end. Champions of Europe for a second time.
Arsenal closed Highbury's doors for good, and they closed a historic and successful page in the club's history. It was certainly a beginning of a new age. Bergkamp, Perez, Campbell, Reyes and Cole all left in the summer, and Lauren didn't play for the club again after being injured, and Henry left the following year. And now Wenger will be financially restricted for the following years until the loan is repaid back to the banks, and he'll have to compete against clubs who have unlimited financial resources. It will be the most dangerous period for Arsenal and specifically for Arsene Wenger.